Hey there, everybody. Welcome. Greetings to the Michael Jolly out there. And Rory is going to be with us soon. And we'll bring him in when that as soon as he becomes available. He is in en route fighting traffic, as I understand it. Today we're going to, hold on one second, I've just noticed I've got some build errors here on my screen above. I'll show you what I'm looking at. Right over here, I tried to start up and run our normal overlays and notice I had build errors. And it's because the bot core is running, is that what it says? I don't see it on my taskbar. So I'm not sure why that error is there. It says it's being used by another process. I think I'm kind of okay with that because I actually think that for today, I'm going to start a brand new project. And we're going to create something that we're going to use in this project is essentially what I want to do. Greetings to Will and Hugo out there as well. Seeing you guys. It's always great to see both of you guys out there. Let's take a look at this and you can see kind of where I'm going with this. My idea is that I want to be able to have some effects and I want to have them in this kind of timeline. And so in effect, its length would be calculated in many cases based on its settings. For example, if it's an MP3 file or a wave audio file, its length, we should be able to determine its length by looking at the file. I don't know how to do that yet. But we'll figure that out. And if it's an emitter effect, that also has a length associated with it. That can be calculated, or it could be a forever, an infinite loop kind of emitter effect as well. And if it's an animation, we can also calculate the length of the animation as well based on its frame rate and the number of frames that we see out there. So and we've got a set number of animations, and so we've got this kind of finite world. We've got an infinite number of sound effects that we can bring down, and we have an infinite number of emitter configurations as well. So we have to be able to calculate those. Hugo's asking, how are you today, Mark? I think I'm pretty good. I'm fighting a little bit of a sickness, so I've got a little. I'm slightly aware that I probably shouldn't be talking for a long time, but right now I'm good to go. So I think I'm pretty good. Anything interesting going on? Oh, I guess I have an interesting story that I absolutely should not tell. That I told myself, oh, that would be unwise to tell that story because you don't want this episode showing up in court later on. But, you know, whatever. I think I might tell the story. Should I? No, maybe not. But if you see me in person, I'll tell you the story. We'll do it that way. The story is Mark versus the bus. That's how you'll trigger my memory on this particular story. So I'll tell that to you in person. I will not record the story because the last thing I want is anything I say to show up. Suddenly we just jumped up to 24 viewers. I'm not sure if somebody rated us. I'm not seeing any indication on that. Yeah, sorry guys. I really shouldn't. It's really a bad idea. The prosecutors will show this video in court. So Mr. Miller, how do you explain this? By the way, I don't know if you're like me, but I'm often starting my rationalizations with Your Honor, which is how we address the judge in the United States. Your Honor, let me explain. So anyway, that's it. I got some explaining to do. Okay. However, with regards to the story about the bus, nobody got hurt. Everybody's okay. Everything's fine. Everything's okay. I might have gotten my comeuppance over the weekend, though. There were people who thought I had it. I think I got out of it, and I didn't actually get my comeuppance, though. But it was actually incredibly funny. All right, so I'm doing pretty well, is the answer to the question. Yeah, nobody got hurt. That's what matters. Absolutely. If people had gotten hurt, I would have totally gotten my comeuppance, and I would have been like not as good. So everything is, yeah, bonus comeuppance. Yeah, that's like a word from that old timers use. Oh, I just noticed our viewers dropped down to 9, so I'm not sure what's going on there with my viewership there. It looks like maybe we did not get a raid after all. But anyway, welcome to everyone who's here. My goal today, so So, you know, we say this like just about every show. We'll give it to you again right here. I'm not an expert really. The only thing I'm an expert that I claim and I'm an expert in is design. Design, I can pretty much nail. I've done a lot of research on that, and that I feel like I can answer design questions and provide the best, really good guidance in there. From that, secondarily, I'm pretty good at solving problems to which there is no great solution. But then, aside from those two skills, I'm not an expert in just about everything else that there is programmatically. And so if you're watching the show, you're essentially watching a non-expert try to figure his way through stuff to which he has not been fully trained, right? And we to do this, we use which surprisingly seems to be getting us a fairly decent way along the way. Now, along those ways, we also have folks like Hugo and Will out there in the chat room. You see them now. They're often out there with great, excellent suggestions, right? To help, this old guy, do it a little bit better, or maybe a lot better in some cases. And so what I'm going to do today, now I'm going to try and attempt this in a good way. I'm going to try and attempt a good design, good architecture on this control. This control, however, is a kind of a one-off control. I need it to be basically functional, and then I want to run away from it, is what I want to do. In other words, I don't want to maintain it long-term. I don't want to sell it. I just want to create something that's a timeline that'll work for the conditions in which I work. It's going to be open source, so it'll be out there. If somebody else wants to take it and sell it or use it, whatever, you're welcome to do that. I just want to get it to the point that it's going to work for my needs, and then I'm done. I'm out. By the way, this is the way I like to code. When I'm creating code, I like to finalize and seal in my mind, okay, this chunk is done, and is unlikely to ever need maintenance or extensibility. Because I like to build, if I'm building an app, I like to build extensibility into the app so I can put plugins in, that sort of thing, so that I get extensibility and flexibility through the architecture itself, as opposed to having to go back in and changing the architecture to now accommodate some new unforeseen aspect of the design. Okay, so with all of that said, I think it's, and Roy, like I said, Roy's going to ping me when he gets in, and we will bring him in when that happens. C# Fritz shared the live coders link, so I bet a ton of people clicked on it for a second. Oh, okay. All right, cool. So did the bus involve flash paper? It did not involve flash paper, but it did involve making a vehicle more aerodynamic. That actually happened, and people can thank me for that. They should thank me for that. It was an incredible adventure for about 30 seconds, 20 to 30 seconds. It was like a movie, but that's all I can say, because the prosecutors are going to be all over me if I tell this story in court and anything ever happens later on. I mean, if I tell the story here now and everything ever happens later on, it's going to be bad. All right, so that's enough. That's all I'm giving the prosecutors. Okay. So Codebase Alpha says, hey there, everyone. Hey, welcome, Codebase Alpha. Good to see you. We're going to make, if you're just joining us, we're going to try and make a WPF control that lists off items in a timeline that lets me click and drag to move their start position and click and drag to change their duration. Those are my goals. I could do all this in a UI looking like this, but I don't want to. I want to be able to line things up. This is for lining up multiple grouped effects, special effects, like it's lining up, for example, emitter effects, particle system effects, animated video or animations, video animations, and sound effects. So be able to line all those up and play them together. All of this is ultimately going to be used in an app that is going to build the elements of a Dungeons and Dragons game. So as an example, I might have a potion that I want to drink. So the potion is going to be an item that my character is going to hold. And when I consume that item live over the Twitch stream, we're going to hear gulp, 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 and then poof, and we'll see a cloud of smoke over the player, the video image of the player, and then maybe some other particle effects or system effects, things like that. And all that's going to happen when the player says, okay, I'm going to consume this potion. And it'll all trigger all that. So that's what we're going to build. Now, to help us get there, I found something out there on my good friend Stack Overflow. You speak of prosecutors as if it's a fait accompli. So they're already involved. It is, I think, pretty much inevitable, right? My comeuppance is going to involve, it's going to involve bad things. It's going to involve, yeah, I'm going to be in court for sure, or something else along those lines. So I'm putting this out here in the chat room. How to dynamically draw a timeline in WPF. So I found this out there. Let's grab it. I'm going to drag it over here, and we'll look at this code. So this is the question. I want to draw a tagline, and here's the sample code. Now this is not exactly what I want, but it is pretty close. At least it's going to give me a start. And they've got an event length converter here. They've got a multi-value converter. And I was looking at the code for this, and I started looking through it, and I was like, oh, and I started lighting up on how we could do this. So in order to see this, here, let me do this. Let me take this. Let's, can I right click and duplicate that? Yes, I can. Let's take that out and bring it over like there. And I want to get these kind of side by side is what I want to do. Boom and boom like that. And now I want them side by side because I want to show you both pieces here. Although I'm noticing the chat is up. I think I've got, do I have a clean with no chat? There I do, right there. But it's without me as well. But it looks like you can still hear me. So we'll just kind of go without me for a second and we'll look at these side by side. So the solution here has got some code, and the solution has got some XAML. The XAML's got an items control and a template for the data, okay, which is inside the grid here, and the inside there, the data template gets interesting right here, for me at least. It's interesting here because it says let's put a rectangle inside of it, and then it says rectangle margin, okay. And in the margin, we've got a multi-binding. Excuse me. And the converter is right here. It's referring to static resources, which is right up here, right? The event length converter, right? Right there, which is of type event length converter, which is right over here, okay? That event length converter, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit here. Can I scroll? I can't really scroll. That makes me a little sad. I can only do this. But the event length converter is a multi-value converter. It basically returns a thickness, which is what we need in the margin. Okay, so I'm super excited by this. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I could use margins to kind of figure things out, and all I have to do is return a thickness in my converter. But check it out. Look at what's going on here. Now, I didn't know you could do this, and this is super cool. In my multi-binding over here, I've got, let me see if I can zoom this in too, because that might be a little nicer to see that. Okay. In fact, now that we've kind of shown those two pieces, let me just bring it back over here. I'll get back to the normal view. Something like, we'll go ahead and do this. And over here, what's going on is these three pieces here, these elements are parameters to the multi-binding. I'm like, wait, what? And that's what we're taking them right here. Values of 0, values of 1, values of 2. So when I saw this, I was like, holy cow, that is super cool. I can take the elements that I'm binding it to on the outside right here, and I can now take those and pass them in and then use those to figure things out, to figure out where it should be, what the actual margin thickness is. So that's kind of what I want to do. That's kind of my goal. By the way, if you're new, you can fly a drone by typing in the exclamation mark and the word drone, and you'll get a drone that'll come out. And then you can make it go around, fly around. Hugo, shortcut for you. You don't actually need to proceed that. Once you have a drone out, you can just use the letter L for left, U for up, D for down, and R for right, followed by an optional number for how many seconds you want to fly in that direction. You do not need the exclamation mark once you've got a drone out. So it's kind of a shortcut there. So that's kind of what I'm going to deal with. That's what I'm going to do. So I think what I'm going to do is I said I was going to start a new project. So I'm going to start up a new instance of Visual Studio 2019. There it is right there starting up. And I'm just going to open this up. This is the one I was actually working in right here. I was going to start this up and I'll go, actually, you know what? Let's do a new one. Let's just do a brand new one. Continue without code. Why isn't there a new project button on there? That would seem like something that would be useful. I didn't see one. Not giant or big. Yeah, it's kind of cool with no exclamation mark. And you can we can do that because we see that you're out there, you're flying around, right? It kind of makes sense. Okay, new project. So I'm going to do a WPF. So this is cool though. Look at this. I created one recently and now it's saying, hey, well, you recently picked this one. And that's what I want to do right there. Windows Desktop. All right, good. WPF app. And so we're going to call this our, what is it? This is the project. So we're going to call this our timeline. I think that's fair to say timeline like that. And in terms of locations, we're going to want to do something different than that. And I click this button, but I don't see anything coming up. Browse. Here we go. Something maybe on any monitor. There we go, right there. All right, let me go out to the right folder, out in my Dropbox, which is also where I put, and we're going to go into the CodeRush folder. And I'm going to put a new folder in here, and I'm going to call this timeline. Select folder, and then I'm okay with their project name. Place solution project in the same directory. I'm going to change this to timeline control. What? Control, like that, and not put it in the same one because I also want to have a test app, and I want to have some test cases, I think, as well for this. I think. At the very least, we'll build a test app for it. And next, I think I want to, I think I want to create a user control is what I think I want to do. That's what I'm going to try first. So we'll go in here, new user control. Rory's not in yet. I'm wondering if he's going to, right, user control, and we're going to call this timeline. I think we're okay with that. Okay, so the timeline is there. Why don't I see my XAML for this? Like, why don't I see my XAML? Did I pick the wrong thing? Hold on. Presentation core. No, it's... What is going on with timeline? That's... System component model. Okay, so why don't I see my designer? Is my question. I don't understand why I don't see the XAML here. It's not like I'm running. I think that's the wrong control. Timeline designer. It's, well, actually, hold on a second. System.component model. Because it's acting like it's a WinForms control, is what it's acting like. Let me just delete this a second. Double check that I did this the right way. I thought I was doing a user control, WPF user control. I'm using presentation core, not system Windows. Oh wait, I do have system Windows forms out here. What's going on? Add user control. Yeah, it was, I think it gave me the wrong user control, is what it gave me. Okay, so we're going to say, we call this timeline. Wait, what? Somehow my focus got to the other wrong place. Here's my timeline. All right, now that's better. Yeah, I think I created a like a WPF user control in there. All right, so inside of here, I think this is a list box is what I think this is. See if we can make this work. List box. All right. And then within the list box, I think I want a, I want to do something similar to what we have seen. What we saw over here. So I think I'm going to, so items control. I'm not sure about this, if this is something specifically to the grid or not. I think it's for the list box, it's something different. I think it's like items.item template or something like that. Let's see if I can make that work. Let's see what we've got here. Items. Nope, it looks like maybe it is items control. Okay. And what's our problem here? Item template cannot be empty. That's cool. We're going to fill that up. Let's just play with this to start with. Take that data template there. Put this in. Okay. All right. So that's not bad. Let's look at that. I'm going to just zoom this up full screen here so we see most of the XAML up above me here. Let me switch over here. It seems like you guys are interested in getting some coins. We'll reset that. What I really want to do is a way to kind of reload coins as well. We can work on that. Okay, so then we've got, also we need to have like our, probably our user control.resources. Okay, and in here we're going to need that converter reference, which is right here. Something like this. And I think I want to call this, I want to call it event. Is it event or timeline entry? I think it's timeline entry converter is what I'm going to call this, I think. The key is that. Okay. So, and its class name is going to be this over here. By the way, it looks like Will is playing around with some of the tests and things that we created from before. So we'll need to create that timeline entry converter. Now look at that fun stuff. This is all stuff that we've built in this channel before. Okay, so we're going to do that. And let's go down to this stuff here. So here's the rectangle. This is green, and they had another one that was not green. Is that right? I'm not sure what's happening with that rectangle. So basically coming in and setting two things with the rectangle here. And here we're doing items panel. Let's control items panel, event container. Okay. All right. So I'm going to change green to blue, I think. Like that. Blue, violet. I'm not liking any of these colors, actually. All right, let's do it. Let's get it, lower the saturation of this. Drop down to like maybe there. Okay. So there's my blue fill right there. And then these are the parameters right here. So, and I think it's important to understand which of these they are. Which ones we're going to use. Hold on a second. Let me think about this for a second. All right, I'm going to actually take a break from this for 1 second because I'm totally into everybody flying around and getting coins. I'm going to switch over to Mr. Announcer Bot, which for some reason is not building. It must be. I wonder if. Actually, I don't have an explanation for what this might be. So it looks like I cannot build is the problem here. Let's try rebuild on this. And actually, I just realized I don't need to be able to rebuild it because I'm going to make changes down into the low-level TypeScript code. Inside my CodeRush folder, which you can see right here, I have a file called layouts.ts. Excuse me. Tommy's pal is now following. Welcome. Thanks for the follow. All right, here's where, we've got a couple of these. Is Chatfill Coins out there as a reference anywhere else? Looks like it is not. Chat Outline Coins. Okay, so Chatfill Coins is kind of one that I want to play with. Sample game. Hold on a second. Coin game. Ooh, Coin game 1. Look at that. Do we have something there? Ooh, CG1. That means I should be able to type in test CG1. That did not work. Well, then it was out there too. Start game, Coin game 1. And CG2, CG1 did not work. That's interesting. Mr. Announcer Bot is sleeping. Yeah, so why are the other things working as well, I guess is my question. It's kind of interesting. Let's try a build here. See what's going on. What is this right here? Let me try this. Let me try shutting down. And I'm going to restart up Visual Studio. With a new instance. Here comes the new instance right here. I think the problem is if the lock wasn't like, for example, with Visual Studio itself, then my problem is that it's with OBS most likely, which means I'd have to stop the stream and restart it to get that to unlock. And I think I won't do that. But if I can, I'm just trying to work around that. All right, so let's try this. Rebuild. Yeah, I'm wondering if the delay is because it's trying to overwrite and the file is locked. And I bet it's locked due to OBS. Only thrusters are available, Captain, says Will Bennett. Hugo says, Scotty, I need full power to the drones right about now. Will Bennett, he's a programmer, not a doctor. I'm reading in reverse. I should go forwards. Hugo says, yep, she's dead, Jim. All right. Yeah, I think we're at a point because of the delay right happening down over there that it's not going to, it's locked. The files are locked. Wait. But then we stopped and it says ready. I didn't see a success, but I also don't see errors. I wonder if that actually worked. All right, let's try to run it. See if it starts up. Let me switch to this view for a second so we can reload it. Come back over here. Looking for a Mr. Announcer Bot in the house kind of message. Sometime in the future. I don't see Mr. Announcer Bot showing up here. Why is that? Shows we're debugging the orange bar across the bottom. Still no Mr. Announcer Bot in the house message. And we should have seen that by now. Let's see, do I have Mr. Announcer Bot running? I do. Interesting. This is Mr. Announcer Bot. Coming in right there.
Awesome!
Oh, Mr. Announcer Bot is working. But no message into the chat room. Normally we see that when he shows up. Let's try test CG1. And nothing is happening there. Can I set a breakpoint? See what happens one more time. Test CG1. No breakpoint. What's going on with that? Why aren't we even getting a hit here? I want to see even there. Check that first return, says Hugo. Test CG1. Let's try one more time. Okay, I'm getting here. Let's see what's going on. In the this.test, let's go in super.test, so going up above. We're in the dragon game. Game plus quiz. So returning false, meaning we didn't, there's nothing. I'm just hitting F11 right now. So now we're in the dragon game still. Dragon, but I need to be in the drone game is where I need to be. Why am I not in the drone game? Oh, is it because, hold on. I think it's because this URL corresponds to the drone game and not the dragon game, and that's why I'm not in that breakpoint. Is that possible? Let's see. There's return false. Let's see. Execute command. Let's get out of here. In execute command, and then we return false all the way down here. And I'm just hitting F10. What do we got? Test mode. Yeah, nice one. You can tell I'm thinking, right? Okay. So this we should get out of right here. We're still in the dragon game. I want to know how we got here. Let's just hit Shift F11 to get out. Okay, if active front game, active drone game, here comes active drone game. Okay. Whoa, is it just not existing? It's undefined. And it's undefined because of the page we're on, I think. So let's go back over and change that to the drone game, which I think is the drone overlay there. Get that to load. Okay, loading. And then we're going to say to test CG again, CG1. So we'll see what happens here. It's not really multi-coins, Hugo, it just looks like it. Okay, I think that's, is it done loading yet? Not done yet loading yet. It's, hold on, where's my mouse? It's right here. Yeah, looks cool and deceiving, which is essentially what the show's about. Looking cool and being totally deceptive about how we're doing things. Because, you know, okay, maybe not. All right, let's wait. We're still waiting for this to load, the drone overlay game to finish loading. My eyes are right up there on that X on the address bar here, to the left of the address bar. Right there's where I'm looking. Disclaimer.
Disclaimer! Mark doesn't know Jack!
There you go. You didn't do that, Hugo. I saw you type it in, and so I was like, all right, let's go. Let's go do that. All right, we are loaded up. Now I'm expecting the test CG1, but I still know Jill, right? Here we go, test CG1. See if we get our breakpoint this time. Okay, here. So F10, F10, F10. Okay, now we're in start game, coin game 1. What's going on here? If this active game then ended, new game, add new layout, add elements. Okay, so we're in. Let's run. Let's see what's going on. Oh, it actually did work here. That's the coin game. Why did it not work on the stream is my question. Hugo said, that's what I figured. I didn't know if it's command or something on your side. You can actually do the disclaimer, I think. Will has got a sense of that. If you go out to, yeah, Mark doesn't know what he's doing. That's the command right there. You have to put an exclamation mark in front of that. So I want to try this. I want to... I just noticed in the live stream we've got scroll bars around the edge, which means one of the overlays is loading. It just finished. I want to try that test CG1 again and see now what happens. See if it works this time. CG1. It does work. All right. So, by the way, if you see a numbered portal out there, now this is a little obnoxious because there's code all over the place here. Oh no, the portal problem. Let's fix that too. As long as I'm in this break from my starting on the timeline, I want to fix this portal problem that's happening here with Will. See what's happening there? Will has come out of the portal too, and now Hugo's come out of the portal, but hundreds of these spaceships are being created, and they're behind him. So we've got to figure that out. That's going to be, let's go look at that code and see if we can fix that. I'd love to fix that really quickly. Portal. Let's do that. Sorry, everybody. I want to get over here where we can step through and debug it. So we're going to work on in this world right here. I'm going to zoom out a bit so we can see everything. So there's essentially the game right there. Wait, I'm not seeing the duplicates here. Hold on. So if I type in drone and one of the numbers after it, like if I say drone 8, like that, I should pop out at 8. There's no bug here. Oh, man. The bug only exists on the stream? Wow. That's harder to debug. Yeah, works on my machine. Exactly. Wow, wow, wow. That feels like it's a resource related issue, is what it feels like. Huh. Is the stream running the same code? It absolutely should be. I can do a refresh of it, but we've rebuilt and refreshed this so many times. I've restarted OBS. The chances that it's running different code, it would be incredibly surprising. Yeah, it should totally be running the same code. That is totally unexpected. CG, let's go to test CG2. Like that. Will just totally lucked out. He's got, there's 2 Will Bennetts now too. Okay. I think this is going to take more time than what I thought. I thought this was going to be a fast fix, but it's looking like it's not going to be as fast of a fix as I want it to be. However, I can do this, I think. Let's go into my layouts. And there's coin game 1, there's coin game 2. Let's create a coin game. Wait, I think I had one that I liked already that could be the foundation for this. Here we go. This one. Chat fill coins. And we'll call this coin game 3. Like that. And I hear my kids in the background there. Coin game 3. And let's do coin game 4. Let's put... can I rectangular select, copy, and now pop these down here and paste? Okay, it does insert, but We can do that. And sure, we can do that. All right, so coin game 3 is here. Wait, did we say that was 3? This is 4. So this is going to be coin game 4. Like that. And then I'm going to go find my coin game 1 and 2, go to the code where they are at, and we're just going to copy these and refresh both of these right here. So that's 3, 3. Oops, that should have been 4 and 4. Okay, and let's refresh on the stream at least and see what's going on. Yeah, that feels like, because the behavior is different, it feels like we have a resource issue. That's what it feels like we have. Although I'm also worried that Will's got two of these guys up here as well. Which is like this old one that didn't go away. All right, so we are refreshing the mainstream. Interesting. I thought this guy down here just showed up, and I saw Will type in L1, and this guy up here moved to the left. So can you do that for me, Will? Can you type in like drone to come out of 9 or something like that? I want to see so drone 9 to come out down here, and then type in like a R or left command. Okay, so Will's out there. Now just give us a command to go left or right. Yeah, look at this. The old one moves. So the new one you're not quite in control. It's like it's not seeing all of them when it goes to destroy. So interesting. We might have had a bug there from before where multiple Wills were out, and when we go to create a new one, it doesn't destroy it. All right, so we are finished loading over the regular stream. Let's see if I can do a test CG3 now. Okay, cool. And so that means I can also do a test CG4 as well. Like that. Okay, cool. So if you guys need more coins, you want to do that, you have control over those test commands. You should be able to do those as well to get the coins. All right, so that was the end of the break. Let's jump back in over to my timeline control. We'll kind of get back into this. We'll kind of study kind of what's going on here in the code, and we'll work on that. Okay, so I have 3 parameters that are coming in here, and this is going from an element called TimeLine. This is an element is called the event container. The event container is this grid right out here, and so it looks like we're just using this to get its actual width right there. So I assume that is for scaling purposes right there. So, and the start is likely to be the very start. Now, the thing I don't understand, so this path here, this start, doesn't have an element name on it. Oh, and the timeline here, this is the data, it's data context dot duration. So it's coming in and saying, hey, what's the timeline, the data context of the items control, what is its duration for that timeline? But I don't think I exactly want to do that. Is kind of where I'm at on this. Let me go over here. Let's get that event. Let's get that converter. And let's pop that in and start making some changes with that too. I'm just going to paste it in here, and then we'll move it out to its own file. let's call it the timeline converter, I think. Timeline converter. And move type to file. Now we've got it in its own file. And there's no convert back, it's only converting forwards. And so we're basically, let's look at this code and see what it's doing here. Timeline duration is getting essentially the first value, which is, I want to double check the first one that's passed in. Is this one right here? This is the duration. So this is the total duration, which is passed in. Now, that for me is going to be different. That I'm going to grab from something else, the actual piece. Also, I think the start here, I think it's going to look more like this, is what I think. Let me comment this out. And I think it's going to look like this. Because I think the start is from the individual element that's in here. And I think this is also, we're going to have a start time and a duration. That's what I think is going to happen. It doesn't remove the gateways. Oh no. So the only way to remove a gateway, I think, is to do a doc command, which does this cleanup right there. And there's go the gateways. So the gateways are gone. So that'll be like on the list of things that we have to fix. So I think what I'm going to pass in is the individual duration, because each one of these pieces is going to have a duration. And so its margin is going to say, you know, how far it is. And it's really just is that really what I want to do? Do I want to set it up as the duration, or do I want to instead give it a length and a width? That's kind of what, an X offset and a width. If I recall in the rectangle, let's see what properties we've got inside here. Let's see what IntelliSense will do for us here. I think there's a left. Nope. Position. Nope. How do I tell the rectangle where it is in space? Is it really the margin? I guess it is the margin. Okay. So I guess we're going to have to do that. All right. Fine. Timeline entry converter is what I call that. Let's fix that. Rename this. And then use CodeRush to rename the file to match the type. Okay, that's fixed. That should now... Is it finding it? Why is it not finding it? Local, timeline control. Timeline control. That's looking like it should be there. Maybe I need to reposition... if you want to do positions, you have to use a canvas, is the suggestion. Yeah, I think that's what my mind was thinking. Let me do a rebuild on this and see if I can find timeline entry converter now. Rebuild all succeeded. Okay, we're good. It was just a delay in getting that to it. Okay, and then here, timeline entry converter. Let's come fix it down here as well. And here as well. And... what is going on here? Couldn't Emily converter? It's just an older message. I guess it's got to be rebuilt or something. Is that my problem? Okay, so we're passing in duration. Oh, now we're passing in duration. Oh, this is kind of very interesting. The width, we're kind of doing a multi-use on this. We're creating a thickness here. And well, this is like oddly stunning to me. Width is not, so I'm doing a timeline entry converter here converting it, right? And which is identical to essentially what I'm doing above. Above I'm returning a margin, which makes sense. That's a thickness, but here's the problem. Here's what I see what's going on. That's what's happening. If the target type is thickness, do that. Otherwise, return the R value. Okay, I just didn't have my eyes down here. Okay, good. Now I see what's going on. So here, we're going to pass those in and say, okay, what's this R value right here? Okay, so we need to kind of do the same kind of thing in terms of determining where it goes. The let's see. We want, so we're passing in the actual width of the container as number 3. So we've got container width right there. I feel good about that. The duration and the relative time, so that's going to give it basically the R value, the relative value here. And so relative time, total seconds divided by timeline duration, total seconds. We multiply by that factor, get the R value. Okay, I'm cool with that. Cool with all of that. And I think actually there's really no changes that need to happen here. It's basically just, I'm going to convert your relative time into some sort of offset in pixels is what I'm going to do based on a fraction of the container width and the factor, which is the relative time overall, the total duration. Okay. The total duration, I thought, was not necessarily going to be specified, but I was thinking that was going to be, I was thinking the total duration was going to be like maybe somehow set, and then I would have a horizontal scroll bar to allow me to go back and forth and see it. Because it's kind of like saying, another way of saying it is how many pixels per distance measurement, whatever that is, what's your pixel density, like DPI, pixels per inch or something like that. And then how many inches or how many centimeters of the view do we need, do we have in total? So yeah, I'm a little bit not sure what to do on this duration for right now. So basically the second one is the one that we are converting. So here we're converting duration here as well. And let's see what else. This first one here is the rectangle width. Data context duration. Timeline total duration, right? Rename this. So timeline total duration is the first piece, I think. Is that fair to say? Yeah, maybe I do go back to where I have this here at the beginning. Maybe that's what I do. All right. So we'll start with this at least, and we'll kind of see where we go. There's our timeline piece right there. So we need a data context that's going to have like a total duration kind of thing on it. Should I do this? Total duration. And individual elements that have their individual durations on them. Let's see, do we have sample code down here? Timeline event. What's observable object? I bet it's something that... Got it. Okay. I see. Okay. So we're not using Prism, so we just need an iNotify property changed on that critter. There, I just said critter, referring to code. Okay. So let's. Oh, these sets right here, I think, are giving me the raising of the properties. That's what it's saving me. Okay. Well, kind of cool. So there's our timeline event. Then the timeline is here. There's our piece that I just renamed to total duration, right there. And then a collection of these timeline events. All right, so let's kind of play with that. Let's start creating those classes here. So we're going to create a timeline entry class, I think. Like that. It's going to I notify property changed. That. And let's move type to file. Let's using system.component model. Let's implement it. And we've got this great on property changed, not here, but in my other app. Let's go bring that up for a second. Where is that? I've got like about a ton of these windows open separately. Where is it? There? Okay. I just want to grab this implementation because I really liked it out there. On, no, element's not found. On property changed. Because I'm in TS file. Let's see if I get different results over here. On property. No. Do I really not have that? Why am I thinking I have it? Yeah, no, I definitely got it. Okay. Let me just note the time here. I've got 1 second here. Okay, I just marked the stream with the CodeRush issue there. Oh no, it didn't work. Hold on, let's see why that's not working. Let me try it right in the chat room, in the chat command. Probably search for I notify property changed. Okay, there, I just got the marker, added the stream marker there. Interesting, Stream Deck did not let that make that work. Okay, so I'm just putting a reminder on the stream here for me because I want the CodeRush team to look at that. I'm using CodeRush and Visual Studio together. We've got essentially fresh builds of both. And if I see anything that's unusual or suspect, I want them to take a look. Okay, so with that, all of that to say, I wanted to get to this point right here because I really like this, the caller member name piece in that. So let's go back to our timeline control. Let's pop this in here. And let's get caller member name, get what it needs. Okay. And then now let's create some properties for this. So one of them is start. And in our converter, it's expecting the start to be a time span, which is really interesting. I thought it would have gone with something else, but I think I have a yeah, there we go. TS is my shortcut for time span. So if I want a property of type time span, I can type in PTS like that. And so we're going to call this start like this. Whoops, let's make it uppercase, right like that. And notice that if we're inside a class that implements I notify property changed, that we get this on property changed call added automatically for us when we declare the new property. So there's start, and then we're going to do one more. We're going to say PTS again, and we're going to say duration. And there's our timeline entry. Okay, so that's part one. Part two is to create, hold on. Should I do this in another way? I'm going to do this for now like this, and then later we're going to figure out how to integrate it. Okay, part two is to create our timeline events. all timeline events. I'm not sure what to call this here. This is going to hold all of our timeline entries. So our timeline data, maybe like that. And we want a new observable collection of that thing that I've got on the clipboard. So I'm going to type in noc./new observable collection, dot means of, and the slash means what's on the clipboard. And so now I can call this timeline entries, or entries rather, entries, I think, like this. Let's go back over to the code we were looking at.
Nice blasting.
Okay, if you say so. All right, let's go back and look at what the sample code we had over here was. And they just basically, they made that private and then made it public out here with the, and it's observable object. So again, here we need to say that it implements I notify property changed. And let's get its implementation. Copy this, put this down here, and we'll make this private. So PV space is going to give me that. And then can I encapsulate the property? Sure, why not? Oh, no, not that. I don't want to do that. I want to encapsulate the field, rather. Okay, so there's my encapsulation right there. Okay, so there's my entries. And what do we have here? Did he do a read-only? What do we got? Events? Nope, they put a setter in there too. Okay. And so what we want to do is we want to come down in here, and I want to expand that and introduce a setter guard clause, I think. Maybe not. Well, I guess I can. It doesn't really hurt. And then say on property changed like this. And just for symmetry, I will expand this getter too. Okay. So now we have got code that is lining up more closely with this code over here. And then do we get our total duration over here? We did not add that yet. So let's do that. So we will come in and say PTS like that and say total duration. Okay. So now we got our timeline data. Let's move that to its own file. And I think we're ready to start writing some test code to test this out. Let's just do a build and see if we've got any compile problems here. Okay, build succeeded.
It compiles. Let's ship it!
Yeah, we could maybe do that. You can create your own observable object that just implements I'm over and descend. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Good idea. I like it. I like it. Let's go do that. Good suggestion, Will. Okay, so let's do that. Let's do a little bit of refactoring here. So we're going to say new class, my observable object. Great, great suggestion. Why didn't I think of that? Almost got my comeuppance right there. Okay, so it's going to implement this. These two are going to descend from it. Like that. We're going to get this and pull it out. Put it up in here. Like that. My observable object. And we need to go over to the other class as well, timeline entry. We're going to do the same thing. It's going to descend from my observable object. We're getting rid of these two. Better, better, better. Cleaner, cleaner, cleaner. Let's take this, put it in its own file. Okay, better. Yeah, good suggestion. Great suggestion, Will. Really appreciate that so much.
Bill Bennett rocks.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all good. Isn't there a CodeRush feature to create an ancestor? There was in the there was in what's this? Declare? No, I don't think I can do that. Yeah, there was in CodeRush Classic, and we've not brought that over yet to I don't think that's here yet in, yeah, it's not here yet in CodeRush for Roslyn. So that does exist in CodeRush Classic, but not in CodeRush for Roslyn yet. Let me put a marker out for that as well, because I want to remember to talk to the devs about that. All right, so we'll prioritize that moving forward. Okay, let's see what we got here. So we've got, those are our pieces. I think we had the build. Let's just double check that, do a build. Build succeeded. Okay, let's go create, let's create some sample data here, I guess. So we're going to say this is going to be our timeline right there that we're going to put in. And I just want to see if I set the background to something else. Where is it? Okay. Why don't I see it? Okay, there it is. Okay, so it's just that it's there. It's just that the background isn't showing up, is apparently what's happening there. Okay. Because that's the background of the user control, which is not actually, we don't have any XAML yet that says, okay, let's use that background color. And I think we can do that with something like this. Background equals binding. And now what am I going to bind this to? It is, I think I have to say, and I'm not sure what goes here actually. I don't know what goes right there to get to my outer containing property of the user control. Let's see if the internet can help us. WPF binding user control property parent, something like that. Binding from a user control property to property of parent. Not quite when I bind to a property of a parent element in WPF. Okay, that might help us. Your relative source, find ancestor, mode, so relative source mode, find ancestor, ancestor type. Okay, feels good. Let's try that. Wait, what was this? Binding height. This is the property name, I think. All right, I think I got that. All right, so let's try it. So we want to say to background and relative source, find ancestor, ancestor type is going to be a user control, like that. I think that's got a shot at working. Let's see if it does. So if we rebuild and we go over to main window, we might see it aqua if we change the color. Let's see if now if that works. Background is equal to aqua. Nice. Okay, so that worked. Excellent. Pithecotsis12 asks, can you execute? Can I run it? I think is what you're asking. I think that type should be the type of your control. Okay, let's go back. Take a look here. Well, the type of the control, it's a user control. It's kind of what it is. So I think we're good there. Can I run yet? Yeah, I think I can run, but I don't have any interesting data in it yet. So let's go ahead and we'll run it and we'll take a look at it. But it's going to be without interesting data. Here it is on my left-hand monitor. That's what it looks like right now. So nothing's in it yet. So let's put some stuff in it. Let's go into main window right here. Yeah, I was in the user control. So here we're going to do this, and then we're going to say, let's create a new timeline data, like this. And I'll say declare local for now, but then I'm going to use CodeRush to come in and widen scope, promote to field, I think. And we can do that. And then we're going to come down here and we're going to say timeline data dot entries. I want to say add entry is what I want instead. And I want to have a new timeline entry. And let's set its start to equal to, do I have a time span? TTS dot from. And we'll set this start to 0. And then we're going to say duration is equal to TTS, TTS space, TTS. Hold on, I'm just undoing it here. TTS dot from seconds, and we'll say it's a 3-second duration. Let's I think I want to change this a little bit. I want to say, I want to do this instead, I think. I want to just be able to say timeline data, add entry, pass in a start, pass in a duration, and then pass in a reference object to hold on to. And that entry will then be there and display itself, that sort of thing. That's what I think I want to do. So let's go in, let's do that. So let's say, let's declare this. And I also want to be able to, so there's this. So this is going to be start. And this one over here is going to be a duration, like that. And this is going to be the data, whatever that data is we're going to associate with that. And then we're going to come down here, we're going to say new timeline entry. And we're going to take that code we had before. We're going to say start equals start. And duration equals duration. And I'm even going to come in here and say name, or no, wait. Data equals data. We'll worry about name in a little bit, I think. I think I want to pass that in now. Let's do this. Let's use CodeRush to add a new parameter here. TS to get a type string, and this is going to be the name, like that. We're going to say, we're going to pass in here test1 as the name. And then we're going to come down here and we're going to say name is equal to name. And data is equal to data. Let's go declare these. Whoops, not what I wanted to do. Hit the wrong one. Declare property auto implemented, I suppose. Maybe not. Let me undo that a second, because I think what I really want to do is declare that as a with a default body. Is that what I want? Nope. I want the third one is what I want. Declare with field. There we go. And then I want to come down here, use CodeRush to introduce a setter guard clause. Then I want to come down here and call on property change, like that. Come on. There it is, right there. Okay, so there is my name, and then let's do the same with data. Come back in here, declare with field, right, like that. Use CodeRush here, introduce setter guard clause. There's my setter guard clause, and then on property change call at the end. So there's my data. Okay, so now I've got my timeline entry has a name, because I want to use that name inside of that, and I want to see that. We'll do that in a little bit. Okay, so there is my add entry call. Let's semicolon that and say declare local, like that, and then let's come down here and let's say entries dot add and paste it in like that. Right there. So that's how we're going to do that. There's our add entry. So now, back over here and where we're calling this, we can just like duplicate this line here. And let's say this starts at 3 seconds and this duration is 2 seconds, and let's call it test 2. And then we need to say that where's our data context being referred to? I think it's just in the user control itself. So we're going to say, do we give that a name? I don't think I named it yet. I did not name it. So there's a CodeRush template here. I think it's XN. There you go. Gives you the name, and we're going to call this the timeline, like this. Okay. I want to get rid of this background of aqua. Let's just change it to white, actually. Okay. All right. So there's my timeline. So now I should be able to come in here to timeline and say data source, data context is equal to timeline data. And holy cow, is that all going to work? I don't know. Probably not. We'll have to debug it. But let's see what we got. Okay, it's started up on my left monitor, and I can already see there's essentially nothing in it. I'll bring it over here so you can see it. Nothing in it. So we got to figure out why that's not adding any entries to it, why they're not being shown. And at this point, I'm not exactly sure how to debug this. I don't have great ideas at this point. Let's take a look at the visual tree and see if what we're seeing here. Content presenter, there's my timeline. Let's go see what we've got here. Well, I got a rectangle. I got one though. Will Bennett says, lucky. Wait, Hugo says, woohoo, the 1 hour meeting ended in 30 minutes. When does that ever happen? That's awesome. Pithakatsis has asked a question, is there a more general library instead of this? If you may be referring to Prism, which might be the case in terms of, we were talking about that earlier in terms of something that gives us the ability to have an inheritable, observable object, an observable object from which we inherit from. Scroll content presenter, items presenter. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this rectangle is the one we're talking about. I don't think this is actually. So something is missing here. Something is not working. Let's see if we can figure it out, figure out what's going on. The timeline is there. So, yeah, so this event container, let's see if we can look at that. That event container is this whole width right here. That's what's going on here. It's this whole long piece. That's the event container. I don't really need that at all. I kind of want to come in here let's go look at the code on the out here, because I think that the yeah, they're doing timelines.add, this.timelines. Timelines, I bet, is the name of the item. Is that right? Where is timelines? What am I missing here? Where's timelines? This.timelines. Oh, wait, here it is right here. Oh, okay, this is what we're not doing. And where is the connection to timelines, plural? If you process.start, or is it wrong? I'm not sure what your question is there, Pithakatsis. Give me more detail on that and more context. So timelines, let's go look at timelines on this. Where is timelines? There it is right there. So we're saying item source is equal to that timelines of this piece. So we're going to have to, I think, do that right there. So, and then within that timeline, it's got its event. So we're kind of actually so what's going on here is they've got essentially a collection of items. And so that's not exactly what we're doing. So I think we need to kind of pop out one is what I think we need to do, but I'm not exactly sure how to do it. I think it might be like this, that this piece comes out. There's kind of like two things I feel like we have to do. One of them is this piece comes out to this level. It comes out here, I think, like that. And then I want to say items control goes away. Is that right? Oops. Hold on a second. Nice that we got a breakpoint there. But I'm thinking I feel like it's almost more like this is what I think it is. If I go back and undo that, let me undo that for a second though. And we look at it. This is how it was right here. Yeah, we could actually we could use this, leave this untouched, which I'm inclined to do until we get something and we can see it. Because we can still have an event that holds one piece inside of it. So let's go look at the code back over here. So here, this is the code they're using here. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's copy that to the clipboard. We'll put that in our main window.cs. Oops. And that's a timeline entry, I think is what we're calling that. Right, timeline entry or timeline data. It's a timeline data is what that is. Yeah, it's this entry and an entry kind of thing. It's a little bit off. Timeline data should contain the list. Timeline data does contain the list, I guess. So the hold on one second here. Timeline dot. It doesn't seem like we're that far off in terms of what we were trying to do. We're setting the data context for the list box here. And in the sample code, we set the item source for the items control, which I'm not exactly sure how to do it. Will Bennett says, if timeline data contains a list, then listbox.item source should bind to that list. Well, let's see what's going on there. Let's try that. Let's go with that approach, and we'll see if we get any closer. Let's see if we can do that. I think I tried to do that at the beginning, and it wouldn't work, and I was like, well, okay, fine. Let me comment this out for a second. And I'm setting the data context here, but do I have an item source? I don't have one because guess what? Timeline is of type user control, right? Yeah. So if I want to get the, if I want to grab that property out there, I've got something in here called a list box. I'm just going to do this temporarily for right now here. And I think there's something called encapsulate property. This is a CodeRush feature that allows me to take a property in, and I think, do we have item source in here? There it is, right down there. Let's grab that and try encapsulating that. Oops. Guess what I forgot to do? I forgot to check it. So encapsulate property, item source.
Miller!
Yeah, I'm going to look in 1 second. Item source me just get this. There it is. Check it. Now I'm looking. You need to bind the list item source like they did. That's kind of where I'm headed. I'm totally headed with that. I hear you also see data context is fine, but I did that and that didn't work. So I'm going to go ahead and do item source. Let me just do this wrapper here around L. And then I want to take that, just because I wanted to get this code right here, because I didn't want to bother declaring it. And then I want to call that, what is the name of the list box that's out on my user control? It does not have a name, so let's give it a name. And we're going to call this the time LB time entries, like that. Okay, and then we're going to go over here, and I'm going to rename this to that, and then I'm going to delete that. And that's basically all I did was to get this code here because I wasn't sure about the what that was going to look like exactly. Okay, so now I've got an item source property on my user control, which just simply redirects down to the list box below, which means now here in my timeline, I should be able to do this, dot item source, and set it equal to the timeline data. Why is that not happy? What does that need? Because it's not an enumerable. Okay. So timeline data dot entries, is that going to save me? That I think might have saved me. Okay. I guess we'll try it one more time. We'll run that, see if that is any closer. Do we have anything different? A little bit. I've got 2 entries now, which is what I was expecting before. So we're getting close. Timeline data is the data source, data is the data context. You only need to do it in XAML, just bind it. I can do it in XAML, but I can do it here too, right? So I can just set the item source there into these particular entries. Yeah, I can do it in both places. So I'm like, I've got 2 entries, but it's like the binding's not quite working here. Let's see if we can figure out why. Content presenter. Scroll content presenter, items presenter, list box item, timeline. There's the timeline. But why don't I see an event container? The event container is the grid, but nothing is inside of that. So I think our XAML is not quite right. Is what I think is the issue. Looks like I'm worried, but we're a little bit worried about Rory. I think that maybe he's been gone so long. He's like, yeah, there's no way Miller's still going, so he's out. So I think that the let's do this. I'm actually getting hungry. I want to get some food. I'm gonna end the show, and I think we're gonna figure this out tomorrow. What is the name of the list property? The context should be the timeline, then bind listbox.item source to the property name. I think that the binding is good now, Will. I think the problem is not in the binding, but I'm feeling pretty strongly that the problem is here, in this area right here. I'm basing that based on the live visual tree. I've got my 2 items right here, and inside there I've got a border, content presenter. There's my timeline right there. And inside that, I've got a border, items presenter, event container, the grid. The event container is right here, so this piece is showing up. I think it may be because this is expecting data inside of data, is what I think. And I think I just need to clear my head a little bit and think about it. And I feel like right now I'm just like you're going to watch me not be successful for a while. And so I'm like thinking probably a good time to end the show. So that's what I think I'm going to do. I'm going to, we'll take a break, and tomorrow we'll come back in, try to figure out what's wrong. I think Rory's going to be here with us tomorrow, and which is always good because he's a great voice in terms of helping us out. For now, it's time to give away a copy of because that's what we do. We give away a copy of CodeRush every episode, and it's the product that I'm using inside of Visual Studio. Right now we're in Visual Studio 2019. We dog food it 3 times a week. You watch me write code with it. Sometimes I make notes to the developers during the show because I like, oh, I want to fix this, or I want to make some sort of enhancement, feature request, something along those lines. So sometimes that happens along the show, but in general, we are just pushing the product, writing code with it, and trying new things with it 3 times a week here on Twitch. Today's winner of the copy of CodeRush is
Sushi Codes.
Sushi Code. So congratulations to you. I will reach out to you on Twitch DM, and we'll get you download instructions for a free copy of CodeRush. And Will, you were not allowed to do that, and I'm not sure why. The level is too high. What's XME? Let me see if I can send that out. Tisk Will. XME. Let's see what happens. What is that? No, it doesn't like me doing it. I think it's because of the page I'm on. Let me just switch to this view and see if you can do it now, Will. I think that there are restrictions based on the piece that's out there. Try the exclamation mark XME. Still not working. What is this mysterious one that's out there? Yeah, it's not working for me either. Huh. You'd think that I would be able to do that. I'm not sure what the XME is. We'll have to figure that out as well. But I just want to say thanks to everybody again for hanging out with me, watching me do this. I'm a little bit bummed. I'd really try to end the shows. I like to end the shows on something a little bit like a success. Like an explosion, says my wife. She walks by, but unfortunately, I am not seeing the way out of this clearly now, and I can tell that I'm going to need a little break of thought before I come back. So anyway, thanks everybody, and we will see you tomorrow.